won't bow down to no man.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the Milking the Clock podcast. I am your host, James Carter. I'm joined by my co-host, Chase Oliver. What's going on, Chase?
Nothing much. Just enjoying some Thursday night football and college football awards.
He's coming all the way from Cali. I'm coming all the way from Tennessee. So we got two broad opinions giving them, serving to you out there in the world. And a little programming note. Our episodes are uploaded on Tuesday and Friday. So just make sure you put that down in your schedulers. Tuesday and Friday, those are the days when our episodes are uploaded weekly. So subscribe, and you don't have to worry about, being reminded. But if you don't want to subscribe, sure. Just make sure you mark it down in your calendar books. That's when we come on. All right, so there you go. Now, RG3. I mean, this is a guy we talked about last time on the show, but we have to talk about it more because Mike Shanahan came down with a decision, and we still can't believe Mike Shanahan is employed. But Mike Shanahan came down with the decision that RG3 will be benched for the remainder of the season. And instead, Kirk Cousins will be starting, and Rex Grossman III will be his backup.
The original RG3.
The original RG3. Now, Chase, what are your thoughts on this whole dilemma?
I actually like this move. Look, Robert Griffin III wasn't playing well at all. He wasn't playing like the RG3 we saw last season. The ability to run the football for RG3 wasn't there at all this season. There was a couple games, like against Dallas and against New York, where he did look good running the football, but those are against pedestrian defenses. When he faced off against teams with great defenses, he couldn't do anything. This guy's best game all season, I would say, was against the Denver Broncos, but that came in a losing effort, and he made some bad throws down the stretch. He's just not doing the smart plays that he was doing as a quarterback of last year. I feel this is the smartest move for the Redskins organization. He's being sacked the most time, the third most time in the NFL. He's getting sacked a lot. He's not a freaking guy like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady that can withstand that pain. He's weak. He will get injured easily. You got to keep him. You got to keep him safe for next year. This guy is the franchise quarterback of the future. I still believe in RG3. You got to bench him, keep him safe. That's just my opinion. But at the same time, it's kind of a dumb move because why not just do this earlier? Why not just say, oh, hey, yeah, you're out earlier? Why keep him in if he has been struggling for this long?
I believe this is a move of a man that wants to be fired. I mean, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, okay, they're worried about RG3 getting re-injured or something like that, which doesn't make any sense to me because, okay, when you tear your ACL, okay, there's not your probability of tearing another one, from what I know, is not increased tremendously.
Well, don't forget, RG3 in college, he tore his ACL his sophomore year in Baylor. So this is actually his second ACL tear in previous years. So
yeah, that is true. But my point is this, okay? The probability of him getting injured in these last 3 games is the same probability of him getting injured in the previous 13. If he gets injured, okay, he gets injured. I mean, it's just as simple as that. But the fact that you're scared to play this guy, first of all, shows his injury proneness. I don't know if that's a word, but I mean, that if you're really scared to start him, like, we can't start him because there's a chance he's gonna get injured, and we don't want to risk that. I mean, I never hear that said with Peyton Manning. I mean, except with the last game of the season. Yeah, last game of the season, yeah, okay. But you never hear that. Tom Brady, you never hear that. Aaron Rodgers, you never hear that. Philip Rivers, you never hear that. Because they say, no, we're starting this guy. No matter how bad we are, we're starting this guy. Matt Ryan, he's not being shut down. I mean, we're just scared that he's going to get re-injured. And, I mean, that just shows to me it just what the Redskins believe about this guy and how fragile he is. I mean, that's just what that shows to me. I mean, but this is a move of a man that wants to be fired. Mike Shanahan wants to be out of there. I mean, he's going to get his request granted the day after the season ends. I mean, the exact day after, December 30th, I believe the day is. So he's going to get his request granted that day. But I mean, whatever. They want to throw Kirk Cousins out there, who I believe is good. I mean, this season, in the limited amount of time we have seen him, he has not played well. But what I saw last season was a good quarterback, Kirk Cousins. So if he can go out there, he can play well. A team probably like Oakland, because, they're idiots, they're probably going to bite on that. And they're probably going to send Washington a third-round pick for Kirk Cousins. But I don't buy it. I mean, I'm starting RG3. I've never heard of a player that's gotten better by playing less, by practicing less. I've heard of players get better, young players get better by practicing more, by playing more, by gaining that experience, by reading more defenses, by being out there more. That's what gets you better.
See, the thing with RG3, though, it was like his mechanics were way off. They were working on his mechanics in like week 10 from what I heard. And so when you're working on your mechanics in week 10, that's not a good sign. And I say long-term, for the Redskins long-term, this is a smart decision. Because what if he did get injured again? But for Mike Shanahan's case, like you've been saying, I do agree. This is a move for a man that's saying, hey, look, I'm going to be fired next year. I know this, but I want to go out on my terms. Not go out on Dan Snyder's terms, not go out on RG3's terms, on my terms. And he wants to go out on his terms. And this is almost like a move by Mike Shanahan to say, see, I was right about Kirk Cousins all along. Because remember, he was the one who wanted Kirk Cousins. He didn't feel like they needed RG3. He said, hey, look, there's Kirk Cousins here. I like this kid. I think he can be our future. But the RG3 hype came up and came in. So that's what forced the big move to get RG3. But, yeah, no, I totally agree with you about it. This is a move for Mike Shanahan saying he wants to get fired. But long-term for the Redskins, I think this will benefit them.
All right, let's move on to another quarterback controversy, if you will, and that's in Chicago. Josh McCown will not be starting this week, and it will instead be Jay Cutler starting for the Chicago Bears against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Now, for me, this is a move that I completely understand if you're Mark Trestman. Yeah. Mark Trestman, would he like to make the playoffs this year? Yeah. I mean, what coach would want to make the playoffs this year?
Especially for his first year in the NFL, yeah, he definitely would love to.
But I think he understands, my job is not, based on the fact if I make the playoffs or not. I'm worried about building something for the future. And what Mark Trestman thinks is this, okay? I need to throw Jay Cutler out there, and he needs to convince me, these last 3 games, he needs to convince me that he's my franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's my guy. Okay, I need him to go out there, and I need him to convince me of that. Because if I start Josh McCown for these past 3 games, and then the offseason rolls around, what am I going to do with Jay Cutler? I mean, I want Jay Cutler to be my franchise quarterback. I want him. I like him. I believe in him. I trust in him. So let me give him the opportunity for him to prove it to me. That's why I completely agree with what Mark Trestman is doing here. Do you?
Yeah, no, I agree. Because Josh McCown, of course, he's been playing phenomenal these games that he's been starting for Cutler. But the thing is, Cutler is technically still the guy. He is still the quarterback. Josh McCown understands that situation. He knows this. And the thing is, this is going to be a test for Mark Trestman saying, is this really my guy of the future, Jay Cutler, or can I go out there and seek other options? Because let's face it, this guy's a quarterback guru. One of the things that they brought Mark Trestman in for was because he worked with Jay Cutler going into the NFL draft. That's the main reason why. And we've seen with Mark Trestman's system of offense that you can plug in almost any good quarterback, any decent quarterback at least, and they can succeed in it. They can succeed in this offense, and that's what makes this offense so fun to watch for the Chicago Bears. Whoever thought you would say fun offense for the Chicago Bears? But Jay Cutler is still the man, and he has a contract coming up. And the thing is, this is going to be based, hey, Jay Cutler, if you can do well these 3 games, if you can lead us to the playoffs these 3 games, should we pay you the big bucks? Because Jay Cutler is going to be asking for a big contract. He's not going to be asking for some, oh, yeah, give me $10 million a year. He's going to be asking for that $19 million a year status. That's what Jay Cutler is going to be asking for. And so this is for Jay Cutler to prove that he is the guy, he is the man in Chicago. And if he can't get it done, Mark Trestman can easily say, hey, look, I plugged in Josh McCown here, and this guy got it done for us. Why can't I just go find a new young rookie for us to build around? I mean, we have the talent for this rookie to succeed, or find a quarterback this offseason that we can build around. You know, this is up for Mark Trestman. This is big for Mark Trestman's offense. This is big for Jay Cutler. I agree with this decision. You got to start Jay Cutler. He's still the man in Chicago, technically, no matter how well Josh McCown's playing.
And Josh McCown, okay, this guy is 34 years old. I mean, he's had plenty of opportunities to do something, to do anything throughout his entire NFL career, and he's done absolutely nothing. You cannot go into next season with Josh McCown as your starting quarterback. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't. I understand he's playing well, but he's 34 years of age. I mean, this is a guy you can't trust. I mean, he's been with Jacksonville, he's been with this team, he's been with that team, and no one has started him up until this point. Mark Trestman is getting something out of him? Yeah, sure. No. I mean, no, not as your franchise quarterback next season. That's the reason why I believe Mark Trestman is saying, hey, Jay Cutler, go win these next 3 games because, okay, Detroit has a very easy schedule. I mean, they face Baltimore this week. They face New York Giants next week. They face Vikings the week after that. Now, Lions should win out, but then again, they should have beat the Eagles this past week, and they should have beat the Buccaneers a couple weeks ago. They should have beat the Steelers about 3 weeks ago. So knowing the Lions are probably going to lose one of these upcoming 3 games. If Chicago wins out, boom, you're in the playoffs, boom. Now, you're not going to do anything because your run defense can't stop anybody. You're not going to do anything, but it's something to build upon for Mark Trestman. So that's why he's going to give Jay Cutler every opportunity he can to prove that he is their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and this is not like a situation.
Stays.
And this is not a situation like Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith last year. Let's face it, Colin Kaepernick was more superior than Alex Smith. Josh McCown and Jay Cutler had been doing the same scheme. They're pretty much the same quarterback, in my opinion. I think Jay Cutler has better mobility than a Josh McCown, but these guys are the same quarterback. It's fine that Jay Cutler is taking over. This is not like Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, where Colin Kaepernick took the league by storm. Colin Kaepernick had more tools than Alex Smith, so that's why Jim Harbaugh went with the man known as Colin Kaepernick. So this is not the same situation that if anyone thinks it is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, if you look at how Jay Cutler performed this season, I think that's why ultimately Jay Cutler stays. I mean, they started off 3-0, and their defense let them down against Detroit, let them down against New Orleans, let them down against Washington. I mean, let them down against St. Louis.
Let them down against Baltimore.
Away from beating Minnesota. I mean, a lot of things have hurt the Bears this season. They've been in a lot of close games. They got to fix their defense, though. I don't think Jay Cutler is a problem. The one problem with Jay Cutler is durability. Can he stay healthy? That's your question. Not his play on the field. Can he stay healthy?
Totally agree with you there.
All right, let's move on to college football. And you know, let's just get the ridiculousness out of the way first. The whole Texas situation. Now, I'm sick of this junk, so I'm going to let you, Chase, heed the battle on this one because, I mean, I can't do it anymore. I can't.
So Texas head coach Mack Brown may be stepping down. There have been reports about this throughout the whole season, probably starting around week 8 of college football, that Mack Brown may step down from Texas or he might get fired. And the talks have been really, really high that maybe Alabama head coach Nick Saban could be going to Texas. And then the whole drama of it was just simple. It was supposed to be Mack Brown stepping down, Nick Saban might go to Texas. All of a sudden, we hear this random report. I'm trying to remember. We hear this random report that Mack Brown said, "No, I'm not stepping down. What are you talking about? I haven't heard this at all." He hasn't heard this story. Alabama all of a sudden now is believing this story that Mack Brown may be stepping down tomorrow because we're filming this on Thursday. So Friday we're going to know if Mack Brown's stepping down or not. All of a sudden Alabama hears this stuff and they put a contract extension. Now keep in mind, Nick Saban already signed a contract extension this March with Alabama that goes up until 2020. They put in more money for that contract, and it's still unsigned because Nick Saban right now is recruiting for Alabama. And now this is a huge possibility because Texas, let's face it, Texas is one of the best places for a college football coach. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, they haven't really done that much recently. But the thing about Texas is they have a lot of money. They have their own fucking network that is worth a lot of money. Like, people sponsor Texas football. People sponsor, what the hell this football what football is in Texas. The Longhorn Network is a big network for Texas. I mean, the Pac-12, they have one network. The Big Ten doesn't even have their own. No, Big Ten has their own network. Big 12 doesn't have their own network. SEC is getting their network next year, but the Texas Longhorns have their own network. They have all these other things in Texas that can get any head coach in the NFL or in the rumors that maybe Jim Harbaugh, Jim Mora Jr. from UCLA, a bunch of other guys. Nick Saban is definitely the guy they want. I don't think Nick Saban is going to go to Texas, though. I feel like he's going to be happy in Alabama because the thing is that's different from coaching Alabama and coaching in Texas is Nick Saban, he has ultimate control at Alabama. He is a god at Alabama. Whatever Nick Saban says, it happens. The Alabama ADs are going to drop down dead to this man. Texas, he won't have that type of power like he does at Alabama. Alabama is grateful to Nick Saban for restoring the legacy of the Crimson Tide. Texas wants that legacy restored, but, it's up to Nick Saban if he wants to go there. I think Nick Saban will stay as the Alabama Crimson Tide coach, but if he does leave to Texas, I don't think Alabama fans should be mad at him. Just know that's how Nick Saban has been his whole career as a head coach. Let's face it, he was like, I love Michigan State. I'm never going to leave there, and he leaves off to LSU. I love LSU. This is my home. This is where I'm going to stay. Goes on to the Miami Dolphins. Then when later on we heard the rumor, Alabama's asking him for the head coach for them, he's like, no, I'm staying as the Miami Dolphins head coach. I'm not leaving Miami. And he leaves Miami to go to Alabama. So Nick Saban does have a bad track record when it comes down to being a head coach and being loyal to certain teams. So for me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Saban did want to leave to go to Texas because let's face it, the money, the taxes in Texas is a great place to live. And Texas football is huge, and the University of Texas is huge. And I know a lot of people go, well, how come they never got Johnny Manziel or Jameis Winston? Johnny Manziel wasn't highly recruited coming out of college, and neither was Jameis Winston. That's one thing that hurts Texas football. They don't have great recruiting staffs like a Florida State, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, all the SEC teams and ACC teams. But I do think Mac Brown will step down, but I do not know who's going to replace him at the end of the day.
Texas Longhorns, when people think of that, then they're held to a very high standard. We already know that. It appeared as if this season, early in the season, they're going to be a debacle, though they're going to be a conundrum, a terrible team. They turned it around, though. They went all the way to the Big Ten championship, in which they got crushed, but at least they did, semi-okay well. But that's not good enough for them. They want to hold to this high standard, Big Ten champions year after year after year. Win this bowl, win that bowl. That's what they're striving towards. And that's fine. Nick Saban, if he really wants to, like you said, go for the money, go for, the big, we have our own network, we have this great campus, all this, beautiful stuff, then sure. But if I'm him, why? I've won 2 national championships here at Alabama. I'm a great recruiter here at Alabama. We've been recruiting well for years. We've already built a great foundation. Why? Why should I leave just for the money? That's it? I can get money. Going to the NFL, I can get money. If the rumor is true, though, that Texas is offering him $10 million a year, no, the NFL isn't going to offer that. But if he's really worried about money, which he shouldn't be, then yeah, go to Texas, fine. But this isn't a guy that's proven to be loyal, so it won't surprise me if he goes to Texas. But if I were him, I wouldn't. But now it's Nick Saban, and is this going to turn around Texas? Sure. Are they going to turn to the Vince Young Texas? I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And another thing about if Nick Saban does leave, just remember, you could understand why Nick Saban would leave because his quarterback, A.J. McCarron, is leaving. Remember, A.J. McCarron, Nick Saban joined Alabama in 2007, and then he recruited A.J. McCarron in 2008. He's had A.J. McCarron for 5 years. This is like this is like the son Nick never had. When you grow such a close bond with the quarterbacks, it's hard to let that quarterback go. And that's been the case with Nick Saban throughout all his teams. He hasn't stayed with the team for such a long period of time. He's a successful head coach, but he grows attached to these players a lot, and especially your quarterback. And the thing is, can you just imagine Nick Saban, how sad he would be losing such a good quarterback in A.J. McCarron? I mean, honestly, I wouldn't blame Nick Saban if he wanted to leave because of his good friend A.J. McCarron leaving. Well, not his good friend, his good player.
Yeah, all right. Well, with that said, let's move on to the Baltimore at Detroit, because these are two teams in which every single one of their games have been close, for the most part. I mean, they either win close or they lose close, for the most part. So, you don't know who's going to win this one, because, one of these teams is going to make a mistake, one of these teams is going to make a play. I say that Detroit makes that play and wins that game.
I'm in agreement with you. I think Detroit's going to win this game. It's at Detroit. Baltimore is one of those teams that rarely play well on the road, in my opinion. Wait, it's at Detroit, right? It's not at Baltimore?
Yeah, it is in Detroit.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting that correct. They don't play well on the road, in my opinion. Joe Flacco's good in the last 2 minutes, but I feel Detroit's going to have enough big plays. Is Reggie Bush healthy, or is he still hurt?
He's questionable right now.
He's going to play. That's how Reggie Bush is. He just didn't want to play in the cold last week. That's the only reason why he didn't freaking play. He'll play inside that dome. But, yeah, I think Detroit's going to win this game. I mean, Baltimore is one of those teams that are going to look good, that are going to fight hard with Detroit. This is going to be a close game, but I think Detroit's going to pull it out in the end. Matthew Stafford showed that he can be clutch when he needs to be, especially at home.
All right, well, thank you all for checking out the Milking the Clock podcast. Please comment down below, subscribe, and like the video. We will be back on Tuesday to recap the Week 15 week in the NFL, even though it really doesn't look like it's going to be much to talk about. I mean, this is a pretty week where there's not a lot of stuff that's going to happen, not a lot of big games and everything, but, we'll still be here, just in case someone dies or something, and we'll update you on the whole Mac Brown, Nick Saban situation, because we're sure that probably something happened there.
Maybe, and also next Friday, we're going to predict the Christmas games for the NBA. We're going to predict those games.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to go into the Christmas game. Alright, so anyway, guys, James Carter TV, Chase Oliver 68. Thank you for checking out the podcast. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until next time, peace.
Damn, forgot to meet with the bosses for breakfast. I'ma keep pouring it on. I'ma keep pouring it on. Yeah, your health is not my concern. I'ma keep pouring it on.